That's why he's never going to convince me. And he's also never going to convince Ben Shapiro. And I guess he's still never going to convince his mom either. So
came out on TV and said, we know that there are Donald Trump blank tapes because of the Steele dossier, then I'd say this is probably not appropriate, right? But if
there were a lot of people talking all kinds of...
Hold on, careful.
That did happen. A lot. Oh, careful. We can't just say all people. We got to be specific now.
Well, we had to be very careful about a lot of people talking a lot of crazy stuff, right?
Okay, just go on, yeah.
Well, cope. That's why he's laughing. He knows this is like a cope. Let's go.
Or like which piece?
Here, this is what I think is important. Okay, so so I'm drawing a little.
I'm not gonna lie. This is something because like I think I do a bad job at showing how much I respect Destiny. So I like the fact that he's. All right, hello. My name is Mr. WhyzGuy. Welcome to my humble little channel. We're gonna be watching Destiny, the ex-FBI informant charge. I want to watch it. Destiny kind of squirms a little bit in this one, and that's honestly the main reason why I'm watching, because it's gonna look good. I'm gonna point it out. It's gonna be great. And let's get to the people. So we got Destiny, freaking Destiny. Yeah, we got Destiny. This guy right here. He's a streamer. If you haven't heard of him, well, I don't know how you're watching my stuff. Oh wait, no, I'm a tiny little channel, so of course you're not watching my stuff. But yeah, Destiny. His real name is Stephen Bennell. I guess his middle name is. I'm not gonna try and pronounce that. Also known as Destiny. He's an American live political streamer. He used to do gaming. Now he mostly does like research with Israel Palestine. At least that's what he's doing right now. Yeah, so we got Destiny. That's what it looks like. We also got Pisco. This dude. He's a lawyer. I got his Twitter. Yeah, we'll go to his Twitter. This is what he looks like. You don't really see his face in the video, so this is all you're gonna get. But yeah, he's simple lawyer. He streams on Twitch, does it a lot. This is his Twitch channel. Does a lot of stuff. Let's just say that. The ex-FBI informant charge, false intel. This is obviously the only reason why Destiny's even talking about it. Like, oh, Trump bad? Let's talk about it. Yeah, let's not talk about other things. Biden bad? Nah, we don't really care about it. Let's just get right into it. But remember to like and subscribe, and comments are great too. Thank you very much. And sit back, grab a snack, and enjoy the show.
Breaking. FBI informant charged with lying about Joe Biden admits Russian intelligence was involved in passing a story about Hunter, special counsel says. Uh-oh. Every conservative is going to say all of this is fake news. Do you think there's a chance that we're like headed to civil war? You read about the lead Republican Hunter Biden whistleblower getting exposed as a lying Russian.
I like how the beginning is very short. Interesting. It's usually longer because usually they would like point out more longer content, but there's a reason why they're only going to give like the first like 10 seconds of the actual video, but and the rest of it's just going to be devil's advocate debate. It's going to be fun. Oh man. But he didn't want to like show that part because it makes Destiny look well, you know, inconsistent, and I like pointing that stuff out. So let's go.
Spy. Next time you talk to Rob Noah, bring it up. I'd be careful. He's not a Russian spy. He's a confidential informant, right? Don't use spy like Republicans use spy. Let's be.
And just like how Destiny likes his Red Bull, I like my Monster.
Precise with our terminology. He was a CI that seems like he was influenced by Russia. That's all we know so far.
Good
but
job.
Also, keep in mind, just because that one CI might have been tainted doesn't necessarily mean every other claim is false. You would have to look at the other supporting evidence they found for that particular claim. Remember, don't fall into the bullshit traps of one thing was bad, so it's all bad. That's what the Republicans do, okay? Be better.
Be better. That's the only reason why he's saying that. Be better. I mean, true. I kind of see it. Like, yeah, Republicans kind of do the same thing, but a lot of people on the left end up doing the same thing as well. But Destiny doesn't really point that out as much. He doesn't really see it because he's kind of blind to his own side. He doesn't like to. He doesn't criticize. He's not super critique like he is with the conservatives onto his side. So he's not gonna like necessarily see it as much on his side because he's not really looking for it. But yeah. Anyways, let's continue.
Better.
Be better.
The Ruiz Macob on Twitter right now is crazy. Yeah, like I said, conservatives are never accepting that story. The idea that any of that was Russian anything, because also keep in mind this like legitimate.
I mean, actually, I was gonna say That's not true, but at the same time, the people that I listen to aren't like, some of them are conservative. I listen to another podcast called the Timcast IRL podcast, and some of them I can kind of say, probably, but like Destiny, what he said probably is true for some of them on there because they're like conservatives. But then I realize there's a lot of people on that podcast that aren't. They wouldn't consider themselves a conservative. They would consider themselves like left or left of center. And then some of them is right of center. Yeah. I like it. I like their stuff. Destiny is a bit more critique, but you know what? I think Destiny is partisan, and but he claims that he's not. So that's my big claim on Destiny. I think he's partisan because he pays attention. He or maybe not partisan, but he's biased. He's like one level behind partisan, I think.
Legitimizes the whole initial FBI, what Pisco said yesterday, when the FBI was trying to say, hey, there might be Russian disinformation.
And the reason why I say he's biased because he pays attention to certain things way more than I think he should versus actually looking into other things, and he just doesn't look into it at all. But Pisco does a good job at pointing all of this stuff out, so we're going to continue. Only 1 minute in, man. I want to finish this.
Like those warnings might have been...
and not have this 2 hours long. So let's keep going.
Substantiated to some extent. But how wrong was the Burisma stuff? I need to dig into it exactly, but it sounds like... Do you remember when we read that report about the confidential informant? There's a name for that form, like the T1028 or whatever. I don't remember the number for the form. Was it about the informant knowingly lying? Okay, gotcha. Yeah, yikes. I could be wrong. Okay,
You're definitely wrong. I mean, maybe. I don't know. But anyways, the thing that I want to talk about is his Obsidian thing. That I got it, and it's amazing. The note-taking thing with Obsidian, and I love it. I love it a lot. You guys should use it too.
I'm speaking with very low conviction because I haven't dug into all of this. So if somebody knows more than me, you should believe them. But my understanding is that a lot of the initial investigation, I believe, was built off of that confidential informant, right? Because I think we read that. I think we actually read the report from that confidential informant with Rob Noor, where the guy was saying like, oh yeah, like Biden gave us this money for this and blah, 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 blah. Joe said that he would talk to, all these people. And I think we read that initial thing on stream. And this particular type of information is considered not the best because it's not vetted, it's not corroborated, it's not verified. But I think a lot of conservatives wanted to hang their hat on the statements from the CI. So funny how you and Pisco argued against conservatives about what it said and that it was a nothing burger, but are now conceding everything they said was correct but not to be trusted. What? I don't think I ever argue that. You can go back and look at those streams. I'm pretty sure what I said at the time was that I think confidential informants are like just that. The information is oftentimes unvetted and uncorroborated. That's why you use multiple CIs, or you get information from a CI and then you corroborate it using other sources. I'm pretty sure I said that at the time, that was the problem, is that you're not sure if these confidential informants are because they're not like under oath. I don't think they don't like.
It doesn't matter if they're under oath. If they lie to the FBI, there's still really heavy consequences for doing that.
Yeah, like a CI, and they could just be wrong about things. Pretty sure that's what I said at the time. You can go back and look at it. Isn't it a deposition? Do CIs give depositions? I'm not sure if a CI is under oath or not. I'm not sure actually. I'd be curious to see what the legality is of information from a confidential informant. No, if a CI lies to the FBI, I'm pretty sure knowingly, what does that count as? Obstruction of justice? If a criminal charge, confidential informant, lying to FBI. Because if you make a false statement, especially if you are alleging to something, yeah, that is probably a crime.
All right, so he did a good job at just backtracking his previous statement.
Isn't that why it's a crime? Yeah, I think so.
Not gonna lie.
Why would a person be a confidential informant to then lie? That sounds like the dumbest shit you could do. I could think off the top of my head of like 50 million reasons why that might happen. You might get charged with a crime, and as part of your plea, you become a confidential informant. But
honestly, I don't care about this part. I kind of want to go to the part when Pisco comes in, and that's when we start actually doing the devil's advocate. This is gonna be great. It's gonna be fun.
Be part of the new conservative party. We need a post-Trump Conservative Party. Okay.
Ha.
Breaking. FBI informant charged with lying about Joe
Yes, we all know that you hate the Tim Pools of the world. Thank you, Destiny.
Biden admits Russian intelligence was involved in passing a story about Hunter, special counsel says. Uh-oh. That same day, Smirnov was arrested in the District of Nevada as he returned to the United States on an international flight. Smirnov was scheduled to leave the United States 2 days later on February 16, 2024 for a months-long multi-country trip that, by his own description, involved meetings with officials of foreign intelligence agencies and governments. During his custodial interview on February 14, Smirnov admitted that officials associated with the Russian intelligence were involved in passing a story about
Pisco has joined.
Person who I assume is Hunter Biden. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Every conservative is going to say all of this is fake news. However, but they will say that anything that the FBI or the special counsel has covered about Hunter Biden is real news. But this is all going to be fake news, for sure.
No. I understand your conviction and why you're generalizing, but like, sure, not every conservative is going to be like that. No. Because like, when that stuff came out with Hunter Biden, people were kind of skeptical about it. Because like, we didn't really, because like it was almost a little bit of cognitive dissonance on the other side. They were like, why is the FBI coming out with this stuff? What is this? Like because like they already distrust the FBI, but then when the FBI comes out with something that's kind of like, wait a second, maybe we should look into this, but I'm not sure. There's probably something deeper to this. So there's definitely a little bit of pushback on that, but I guess, sure, the dummies on the right are just gonna, or the grifters on the right are just gonna be like, oh, look, yeah, we're gonna like dismiss the FBI until this happens. I'm sure that's true for a good portion of them, but I wouldn't say that's like the majority of people on the right, unless he means like the far right. If Destiny means the far right, not just the right, then sure. Or, I mean, I think he just literally just said conservatives. I guess that might be true, but I think, honestly, to be honest, I guess maybe it's the conservatives that I've met, but like I feel like conservatives are a bit more like chill than people on like Destiny would make them out to be. Like they're not that crazy. There's definitely some crazies, but there's also some crazies on the right too. I mean, on the left too. So you can generalize, but I think he's wrong on that, honestly, or he's being a bit hyperbolic. Yeah.
I have to read a lot, so I don't have too much time, but what's up? You want to give me the play-by-play on this?
Just real quick.
Yeah.
So
this ain't gonna be real quick. This is 6 minutes and it's like an hour. Yeah, real quick. All right, Pisco. I don't really like Pisco's opinions, but honestly, he did a really good job in this one. So I think he did a really good job at basically fixing Destiny's terrible takes on like law. So let's go.
in 2020, if you recall, Biden or Trump was pushing for the Department of Justice to go after Biden.
Yep.
And Rudy Giuliani was funneling information to Bill Barr. And Bill Barr, at the direction or really at the suggestion and because of the pressure of Donald Trump, created a back channel through which...
I like how he said suggestion, and then he had to add pressure to make it seem like it's more mischievous or bad to do. Like, because if he's just suggesting it, then, well, what's wrong with suggesting? But if there's like pressure, well, added pressure of suggestion, then that doesn't really sound, that sounds kind of a little scary. Like, should he be like pressuring? I don't know. But suggesting, there's nothing really wrong with suggesting stuff. But I'm on the side that it's probably just suggesting, that Pisco said, and then he had to add the pressure part to make it a little bit more scary than it actually is. So, yeah.
Information by Rudy Giuliani to target the Bidens was being funneled to the Department of Justice to vet it, essentially.
Okay.
And we now know that this information related to...
Which, wait, hold on. I just want to make it super clear that what you said so far already is highly inappropriate.
Is it? Is it really? Well, I mean, if you add the pressure part, then I would say it's highly inappropriate. Like, pressuring people to do things when you're president, yeah, that's probably, like, inappropriate, but, like, it depends on who he's pressuring. But they are talking about someone specific. I don't know about those people, but like he is the one in command. So like he should try and get things done. So I don't see how that's like highly inappropriate. Like, sure, I could give like maybe it's a little bit inappropriate for him to be pressuring people underneath him to do specific things, but like, and I guess it really matters on what specific things he's doing. Like, I don't think he was pressuring him to do something illegal. If he was pressuring someone to do something illegal, then I would say, yeah, that's highly inappropriate. But it wasn't illegal what he's trying to pressuring him to do. So I would say, sure, maybe it's a little bit inappropriate. I'll give that, but like I said, Destiny over-exaggerates it way too much. So let's keep going.
Yeah, but go ahead.
For the president of the United States to be pressuring his own attorney general.
I like how we went from suggesting to pressuring. We don't even say suggesting anymore, but okay, all right.
To politically prosecute the Bidens after he tried doing that with Zelensky. You guys remember that? Why he was impeached?
Yeah.
He tried it with the Ukrainians, and then he's back on it with his own Department of Justice.
He had a talk with the Ukrainian government, and then I guess you could say that he was pressuring, but like it's another country. Like, wouldn't you want your leader to be pressuring other like leaders to like kind of like go with us, like go with our like we want to show like we want other countries aren't gonna they do their own thing. Shouldn't our leader be the one trying to like negotiate and like get like he's in our interest? So like why would he not pressure other countries to do things that are within our interests? I don't see how that's inappropriate. But okay, like I'm breaking down their narrative 100%. Let's go. Like they're making it seem way worse than it actually is, and that it's so annoying. It's so annoying.
Bullshit claims about Burisma are being funneled into the Department of Justice.
Oh yeah, Trump did get impeached. Oh man, oh sorry, I have so many things to say. Trump did get impeached, but it didn't go through because obviously the phone call wasn't bad. Like he got impeached, but it never went through the Senate because he didn't do anything wrong. He literally didn't do anything wrong. So he was impeached and wasn't convicted. There we go. Like, sure, you could say he got impeached, but he also got impeached twice. First time was for the Ukraine thing, for the phone call. And then the second time was, I think it was for the January 6th stuff. But then he also didn't get convicted either. So two things that he got impeached for, and there wasn't enough evidence to actually like really convict him for anything. So that's like in the books right now. That's fact. But I guess they still think he did some terrible thing. Ooh.
Justice by Rudy Giuliani, who has no business whatsoever doing this.
Yeah.
And we now know, right? By the way, when this failed, because it's all
Blank.
In October of 2020, in the lead up, Bill Barr calls on directly for Bill Barr to indict Joe Biden less than a month from the election. And we now know that at least
I think that was because of the email thing, the big man email, like which we now know is 100% true that the big man email was actually Biden. Hunter testified to that and said, yeah, obviously it's him. Like who else would it be? Like that that's literally what he testified to. And I'm like, wow, okay. So that big man email comes out and we don't hear about like, sure. And there was like speculation, like it probably is Joe Biden, but we had no proof or solid evidence for it until literally Hunter Biden testified. And I think, and literally said like, this was like a week ago from when this video came out, when my video came out. This video was back in January that I'm watching right now. And it's like March right now. So, but yeah, that's I find that very interesting. Very interesting. Like, they try to do that, but like, so like, yeah, there is obviously like reason for like why they probably said to do that. They're not just saying because we don't like Biden. There was good reason to why they Bill Barr said that.
At least part of this information was Russian disinformation. Specifically the part from the 1023 alleging a bribe from Burisma founder Zlochevsky to the Bidens. We now know that was Russian disinformation from Russian assets funneled to the Department of Justice. And on that basis, MAGA congressmen, remember when they were trying to release the 1023, when the FBI says, no, please don't release it, please don't release it, please don't release it.
When you're talking about release the 1023, is that the confidential informant stuff where they were trying to show the Hunter Biden? I think we read that on stream, yeah.
there ought to be an immediate, they should let David Weiss finish his investigation, but the Attorney General or the Inspector General should announce an investigation into the start of this investigation and the political nature of it and what happened, what was the timeline for why this investigation was started against the Bidens, what role Rudy had in it, what role Trump had in it, and what culpability, if any, Barr or other members of the Department of Justice had. I think
It's probably the same reason why why the whole Russia investigation came in. For what reason? Why did this happen? Well, probably the same reason why they thought Trump was like a Russian spy. So they investigated them because like Trump looked like Trump did bad thing. And well, Trump didn't do bad thing because that investigation went through and it found that nothing was really there for the Trump Russia investigation. Like he was in cahoots with Russia or whatever that conspiracy theory was. Like they looked into it. And people entertained it, and they didn't find anything like criminal or to convict him on. Like it basically was a nothing burger. They found like some ads, like there was some Russian ads and Russian Facebook ads or whatever. Sure, okay, you found something. All they found was some things that were unrelated to Trump. So interesting. Find it very interesting. So I think it's like the same reason, but like you guys are like Trump bad brained that you just go overboard with the hyperbolic statements with all these things that are coming out against Trump. But when something happens with Biden, well, we don't really pay attention to that. He probably did something kind of bad, but like don't really care because like he's on our side. That's what they would say.
I think it's absolutely outrageous that for months MAGA congresspeople were touting this as evidence of Biden corruption, this Russian disinformation that we now know had multiple contacts. And if you read the contacts with Russian agents, it's shocking, the level of contacts. And they're all I'm looking on Twitter for all these people talking about the Twitter files. Remember that? When they were saying it was bad for the intelligence agencies to warn people against fake stories from Hunter Biden. Mm-hmm. Where are they now talking about this story?
Well, they're going to say all of this is fake. This is so. I can print you the whole script for what they're going to say. This is all fake news from the intelligence agencies that we are.
Yeah, I don't really care. Yes. The government bad narrative. Yes. I don't really care for Destiny to say it. Like, yeah, I can predict this 100%. Ooh, look how smart I am.
You know what that proves? That the intelligence agencies were absolutely right when they were trying to warn social media officials and saying, hey, there might be something coming out about the Bidens, something fake related to Burisma in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. They were absolutely right. And it was encouraged by the top, by the sitting president of the United States and his cronies.
Well, true, but careful for timelines because, wait, am I mixing up elections? Hunter Biden story. Oh, no, wait, that was 2000, right? The laptop story, right?
The laptop was...
You're right, okay, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
That was 2020, the laptop story. No, wait, are they talking about something different? No, the laptop thing came out the last election, but then they had to censor it because they were like, oh, this is Russian information, the laptop story. And then like literally a month later after the election, they were like, actually, that laptop does exist. So yeah, oops. Like, wait, what? A lot of people, that was kind of like crazy. I think the Washington Post, they got censored on Twitter back then because it was still Twitter back then. Yes. They censored it. The Washington Post came out with the laptop story of Hunter Biden, and they censored it because they didn't want. It was right before the election, and they were like, "Oh, it's probably Russian information. It just came out. Whoa, we gotta like stop this." And then a month later, they're like, "Actually, it's true. This does exist. Oops."
It's all in the lead up to the 2020 election.
Yeah, not the 2020.
And he tried it before. He tried it with Ukraine. This is exactly the story they were trying to sell to Zelensky and the corrupt prosecutors, Lutsenko and others. It's absolutely evidence of corruption from Trump, and there should be an investigation into it. And I think it's outrageous and damning that these Twitter files, alt journalists, are completely silent now when this information comes out. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Real quick, just to be ultra clear, Trump himself was never the subject.
The Twitter files people probably did talk about it a little bit, but I don't know. To be honest, what they're talking about, it just sounds like a bunch of hyperbolic nonsense. Like they're overblowing what's going on. So they probably did say something about it, but they probably kind of just shrugged it off as like, well, it's not really that bad as people are making it to be.
Of any probe or real quick, just to be ultra clear, Trump himself was never the subject of any probe or any like probe or investigation directly, was he? For Crossfire Hurricane, it was just people around him.
Not until he fired Comey.
After he fired Comey, was he the direct subject
for obstruction?
He was.
For obstruction.
Okay, just for obstruction.
But before Comey actually told him he wasn't a target.
So they lied to Trump. Wow.
Comey said to Trump that he wasn't a target of the investigation.
Yeah, sure, yeah, okay.
Wow. Oh, sure. Oh, okay. Oh, sure. Yeah. Cognitive dissonance. They lied to him. They literally lied to Trump. But Trump has no reason to distrust the people around him. No, he has no reason to. Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. All right, Destiny. Good job.
But the reason why we know that
I'm referencing another video that I did on him. It's just, oh, man. It hurts. It hurts sometimes. But let's continue.
This is garbage is because these are the same disproven, debunked claims that made their way to the...
Actually, here's an interesting thing. There's a video, there's a bunch of little cut-up videos that I have about this lawyer, that Rekieta Law. I want to know down in the comments, should I like rewatch that and then have a more long-form version of it? Or should I just not bother? Because like I would like to rewatch that actually, and then have a better, because like now it's more in the future, so now I have even more things to say about it. But it's a long video, and editing is going to be insane, but it's going to be fun. It'll be great. Let me know down in the comments below if you would like me to do that. That'd be great.
The discourse about the Trump impeachment related to his call to Zelensky, the perfect call, which was corrupt abuse of power for him to try to leverage his status as chief negotiator in the United States for a corrupt political motive, that is to affect the 2020 election and get these Ukrainian prosecutors to announce investigations into the Bidens. And that's what Rudy was fighting for in Ukraine. And that's why they fired the Ukrainian ambassador. It's all there. It's all corrupt. And this guy will do it again. It's all projection. Everything about
Trump,
political
bad.
Prosecutions. No, that's what they want to do. That's what they tried to do. And that's what Trump did.
Do you know who Burisma official 1 or 2 is? And this, what is this, a charging document or indictment or?
That confirmation bias is insane. Holy crap. They're literally accusing Trump of what Trump is accusing everyone else, or what people on the right are saying the exact same thing about them. It's like, pick a side, honestly. They're literally accusing the other side of the same thing. It's great. This is interesting. I find it very funny.
So there's an indictment against Smirnov. I don't know. It's either Zlochevsky or some other Burisma official. I don't actually know off the top of my head which one is 1 or 2.
Just reading through it's like 20 pages, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, folks, can't let this guy win. He's corrupt as
blank,
and he will abuse the Department of Justice and go after his political enemies, as he's tried to do before. And we need an investigation to see if this is what happened.
You know, it's funny. Like, he tried to do it before, but if you watch the Ben Shapiro debate, Ben was literally like, "Well, okay, sure, he did try to do it, and it didn't work. But when Biden does it, it does work, and he does do it." And they do it. And that's what they're doing right now to Trump. But they're not afraid of that. There's zero corruption there. But Trump is corrupt as blank. Yeah, oh, man. I find that just hilarious. That was great. Ben Shapiro pointed that out so flawlessly. But they're more afraid of what Trump is going to attempt to do, but then gets blocked. But like Biden literally does it. Doesn't get blocked and then happens, but like there's no problem there because they're indicting Trump and Trump's bad. So like obviously there's zero corruption there because like it plays into their bias. Like they think Trump bad. Biden does the exact same thing that they're accusing Trump of doing, but it doesn't work. But they're more afraid of Trump attempting and getting blocked than Biden doing it and him just going, and then everyone just going with it and going through with it like that. I think one is a little bit more scary than the other. If you're going to look at both of these situations with an unbiased mind, I guess they would be like, "Oh, you can't look at this in a vacuum or something," or, "Well, you gotta put other things in perspective when you're talking about this." I'm like, sure, but then you're basically saying I need to be a little bit more. I need to pick a side and be biased in order to like see how the other side is, and I can understand the other side on both sides actually, but I just find it interesting that they think one side is more scared than the other. Like someone trying to attempt to do something is more scarier than, and not working is more scary than someone actually trying to do something, and then the authority complex actually does it. Like that's interesting how that's less scary than the previous one. You just change the name Trump to Biden or Biden to Trump or whatever, and then it just like that's why I'm like that's why I think the whole Trump bad narrative, it's not that convincing to me, honestly, because like it just seems like just an emotional reaction. Honestly, like those two things are literally the same thing, and one is objectively worse or objectively more scary because like one seems more dictatorial than the other because the other person actually went through with it and it worked. Like they both tried to get something. They both tried to prosecute the other side. One failed and the other one won. I think the one that went through is probably the one that's probably going to be more of a dictator. Like that just makes more sense to me. But you can't like judge it in a vacuum or whatever people are going to say. But okay.
Happened here. I'm not saying that it necessarily was, or the FBI can take in information that's disinformation all the time and they can assess it, whatever. But if this was in any way pushed by Rudy, like he was pushing other false narratives, there ought to be consequences for it, and we, the American people, deserve to know.
Yeah.
Based. Let's go.
Do you think there's a chance that we're like headed to?
All right. So we literally went to another day, right? And then Pisco comes back again. This is going to be good. It's going to be great. Devil's advocate time. Let's go.
Civil War?
Civil War.
I feel like conservatives have. I think it's happened, or I think it did happen sometime in the past 1 or 2 years, and I just didn't see the exact breaking point. I think conservatives have completely broken from reality, and I don't know what.
Yeah, conservatives would say the same thing to you, Destiny, but go on.
It looks like to have a system like you would you agree that law only works when everybody agrees to kind of play by it?
True. Yes.
Yeah, like it requires some good faith cooperative engagement from a society for law to work. Like here's something that I hope I'm wrong on this, and if there's polling data or whatever. This
chat is insane. Destiny, imagine if Trump gets jailed and kills himself in jail. Like what? I mean, it's understandable why this person would even say this type of ridiculous thing. Destiny is like has a holy like Trump bad just opinion, like or yeah, Trump bad narrative. I was gonna say narrative, but it didn't sound right. So, but yeah, I just had to point that out. That's just crazy.
Please, somebody email me to show
that's
me that
unhinged.
Waking up on this. My guess
imagine
would be
that.
Less than 5% of Trump people are even remotely considering changing any of their opinions on the Hunter Biden stuff with the information that's come out about the confidential informant.
That's a generality that I kind of disagree with that, but sure, there's going to be like people on the unhinged on the right that are on the far right that are going to be like, yeah, no, we're not changing our mind for this. And they'll be a big hypocrite about it. But I think he's generalizing way too much. Like Trump, like the other side, they're just bad. Like be better. Like he said in the beginning of this entire thing. Come on, guys, you got to be better. You can't be like this. Like even though this is like evidence to the thing, we can't use this one thing. Like he feels like he's so superior to the other side. Like it's crazy. It's a superiority complex that he has with him and the conservatives or whatever, like the umbrella term that he's using right now for conservatives, which it kind of connects to people that are like center right too. Like I think he would consider Tim Pool a conservative, but that's just flat out wrong. Like Tim Pool is literally pro-choice, unless Destiny's like, oh, well, conservatives could be pro-choice too. But then what's the meaning? Like, what do you mean? What does conservative mean at that point? Because like it's, how could conservatives be pro-choice and pro-life at the exact same time? I mean, obviously, the conservatives could have a small proportion of pro-choice people on them. Like, I'm not saying that's kind of stupid for him to say, but still, it's. Let's continue because that point has fallen off. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's really depressing when you see actual tapes of Jim Jordan and James Comer saying this is the crucial evidence. This is highly credible, very, very important in our investigation, and for that to just all come out as complete
blank.
And then to have them be like, it wasn't really that important, and we still have these other things that matter.
It's also, can I draw a parallel? It's also
Oh, he's raising his voice. Something's big gonna happen. Let's go. Let's hear it. What are you mad at?
crazy because
Crazy.
this is a 1-to-1 repeat of the Iraq War. Of
What? Make your case, Destiny.
having somebody, yes, you have an administrator that wants to manufacture a reason for war, and because his intelligence agencies aren't giving it to him, he takes unvetted intel and he runs that right up to the top, and he uses that to make decisions. That's the equivalent of somebody in Congress taking statements from a confidential informant and pretending like that's rock solid evidence while ignoring the determinations made by your intelligence bodies that are supposed to be corroborating, vetting, and then interpreting that information for you.
Shoot. He's literally describing, I guess he really dislikes the whole, shoot, what was the lawyer's name? Damn, I forgot the lawyer's name. Remember this. Remember what he just said. This is very interesting. He had a very emotionally charged reaction to what is going on here. And Pisco, my boy, you did a good job at breaking down his his opinion on this. Let's just say that. Let's just say he completely backtracks after this.
Same playbook, but they're like totally blind to it here, where they're like, people will, like Rob Noor will read these forms, the T, I don't remember do you remember the abbreviation for the form, the T, what was it called?
23.
Yeah, they'll be like reading these forms and be like, oh, 100%. They're treating this like this is a U.S. citizen under oath deposition in front of a jury giving a testimony. It's like, bro, these are statements from a confidential informant. If you don't corroborate this,
The confidential informant, we already talked about this. If he lied, he could get prosecuted. Like, the consequences are still very severe if he ended up lying. He doesn't need to be underneath the most scrutiny to, like, not do something, to not lie. Like, what? Come on now. You're overplaying this way too much. But, okay, continue.
you have no blank. Like, it's the same playbook. And they're like, oh, and this, yeah.
Here's let me play real quick.
Go.
The counter.
Yeah.
The counter is this. Where were you, Stephen, when in 2016 and 2017, we found out that the FBI, well, actually we found out later, but we know now that in 2016, 2017, the FBI relied on similar type hearsay allegations from an uncorroborated, unverified source to solicit warrants, actual warrants to spy on Trump's foreign policy advisors, including Carter Page. Where's your out?
Yeah, where is your outrage? Yeah, Destiny. Where is your outrage? Of course. Oh, I'm giving out a very unbiased, just fact, some unbiased, unhypocritical opinion that the other side is obviously wrong on. But when my side does it, well, I didn't know about this, so interesting. Let's see. How does Destiny does this? Cognitive dissonance. Let's see. Let's hear it.
My understanding, you're talking about the Steele document, right?
I'm talking about the Steele dossier and the underlying subsource and how it relates to the warrants retrieved by the Justice Department.
Yeah, my understanding, you can tell me if I'm wrong, my understanding is for the Steele dossier, there wasn't like that dossier that was given, all of the stuff on that dossier was like accurately assessed by Steele himself before it was
accurately assessed by Steele himself. All right. Okay. Like, it's obviously different because he accurately did it. How do you know that, Destiny? What? How do you know that he accurately did it? Like, you just trust him more? Is that what you're saying? You trust him more because he does something, Trump bad. What? Okay.
Turned over to the FBI, right? Like, Steele didn't say this is a fact, this is a fact, this is 100% true, this is blah blah blah, right? Or am I wrong on that? Did he lie? My understanding is the biggest deal for that misrepresentation is that when Steele dossier was turned over by the guy that made the tip off to the FBI, I think he said something like this was. I want to say he said something like this is for a campaign or something, but he didn't specify that it was like the Hillary Clinton opposition research or something.
They knew it was opposition.
I like when people on the left. Well, okay. I shouldn't say that. I like when Destiny, when he gets pointed out with hypocrisy, instead of using the generalities like, oh, conservatives this, conservatives that, like, they're just never going to understand, like, they're just never going to change their point. Now he's like super hyper specific, focused on the tiny little thing when they pick out, when they, now he's like complete opposite. No generalities, no nothing. Hyper specific, like, well, wasn't it like this specific, like this happened here, that's how this XYZ X element OP, like, I just like that. I like how he goes into the nuances whenever he gets pointed out with hypocrisy to like make it, oh, it's different, like, look at all these little differences. But like I just find that very interesting.
They knew it was opposite.
Did they know? Okay, because I thought that was the biggest part. But other than that, they turned the dossier over to the FBI, and then the FBI did their digging based on the tips. But I don't think that were they able to solicit warrants like solely off the dossier?
Well, there were other things that they considered for sure. Carter Page's trips to Russia, things like that. But that was one that was I think without that dossier, they probably wouldn't have gone after those warrants.
Yeah, but that's getting it. There's nothing wrong with getting a tip. So, for instance, my issue is the reporting of here. This would be my issue. Okay, to make this an equivalent, this would be my.
So remember that outrage that he had before. Now he's going to revise it. So everything that he said there, scratch that out of your mind, because that's gone. He was called out. Now he's trying to make it. He's going to refine it right now. It's going to be great. Let's see how much he copes on this. It's just so good to watch. I got my monster, man. Let's go with the B vitamins. Oh, I'm having a good time. Let's go.
Issue. If Democrats came, and by the way, maybe some did do this, and if they did, I would condemn that. If a Democratic lawmaker came out on TV and said, we know that there are Donald Trump P tapes because of the Steele dossier, then I'd say this is probably not appropriate, right? But if
there were a lot of people talking all kinds of
hold on, careful.
That did happen. A lot. Oh, careful. We can't just say all people. We got to be specific now.
Well, we had to be very careful about a lot of.
I like how he he's super hyper general with certain things, and then with things that would probably make him seem like more in a negative light. It's like, we got to be specific now. Like, we can't just use all people, like all conservatives, like how he used it before, but now we have to be super specific. Very interesting. Very interesting.
Stuff, right?
Okay, just go on. Yeah.
Well,
cope. That's why he's laughing. He knows this is like a cope. Let's go.
Hold on. This is also complicated though by the fact that the dossier got leaked to the media too, right?
Why is that complicated?
Because if it's leaked to the media, then I can understand why people are talking about it. But that's different than somebody, because my understanding is that the confidential informant report, was that leaked to the media, or did that come out via Republican congressional?
Well, the Republicans pushed for that to be released.
Yes, so that's different.
I agree with you.
Yeah, that's meaningfully different, I think.
All right, tell me about it.
Yeah, it has to be, because like, I'm not a hypocrite here. It's meaningfully different. Let's go. It has to be.
So, wait, first of all, what are we assessing here? Are we assessing the culpability of elected officials, or the FBI, the double standards of the DOJ, if they exist? What do you want to assess, or like which pieces?
Here, this is what I think is important. Okay, so I'm drawing a little.
I'm not gonna lie, this is something because like I think I do a bad job at showing how much I respect Destiny. So I like the fact that he is so good, so quick. Like, you saw how quickly he just brought up freaking paint.net, or just paint, or whatever, the paint program. He's so quick. Like, I respect him. Like, I really want to be able to he types so freaking fast. He's epic. There's a lot of things that I like about Destiny. I don't want people to like come off being like, yeah, this guy just hates Destiny. No, Destiny's cool. I like them, respect them. It's just that his takes on Trump is just retarded, honestly. That's just how I feel, to be honest.
Little thing on stream, okay? So on here, you've got a mess of, I'll just call these tips, okay? Tips. So this might be, somebody calls the FBI and they say, my neighbor dresses like a Muslim every day, and I hear him calling chants to prayer, and I think I saw him with wires on a vest once, okay? That might be like a random tip, okay? And then from there, you have your investigatory bodies. So I'll just say you've got your letters, okay? Your FBI's, your whatever, okay? And then after this, you have I'll have, we'll say on the left, you've got we'll say the DOJ, and then on the right, we'll say like congressional, okay?
Okay.
So this is what I would imagine the flow should look like in a normal in a normal process, right? So tips or anonymous blank is sent to, the government, the FBI, the NSA, they say whatever. They do their investigations and they figure out their shit. Once they finish their investigations, they might make recommendations to the DOJ. They might present their findings in front of like a congressional committee, Senate Intel or House, whatever bullshit. And then from there, something is like stated publicly or something goes out publicly, right? Do you think this process is about how it should be, right?
Yeah.
The issue that you have is when people in Congress are going down to the tips part and dragging information from here out to present to the public. That is wholly unethical, I think.
So you have a major problem with the Judge Kavanaugh case, because that's literally what happened there. Right, Destiny? Right.
Well, hang on. The Congress was, even in this example, they're going after the letters. They're talking to the FBI, right? So at least they're not going right to, they don't even know this guy Smirnoff's name. So they're definitely, I understand what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Congress, although sometimes Congress does go to whistleblowers and stuff, right? Sometimes Congress goes directly to those people and drags them in front of hearings. Congress will bring in let's say for the January 6th report, right? Congress has an investigatory role. Part of the reason we have that Jan 6 report is because Congress is getting specific witnesses to testify.
Sure.
Look at that squirming. His facial expression when he saw that. It's so highly unethical. The January 6th committee did the exact same thing. And now Destiny's like, oh God, now I have to qualify this even more. I love it. He loves the January 6th committee because that's basically where he gets all of his information on like why Trump is bad. Because like he just looked up the January 6th committee and he just trusts them. But because I think they're biased, but they're biased on Destiny's like Destiny. I can understand why Destiny would be like, I mean, they're not that bad. Like they're a little biased, but not that much. I think they're wholly biased. But now, after having that whole, it's so unethical to be doing this tips thing, and then he finds out that January 6th committee did the exact same thing, and now he's like, well, crap. I love it. How do you cope from this one? Let's go.
I understand. I understand what you're saying there. And maybe I'm fundamentally misunderstanding some of the congressional bodies or something. I understand what you're saying there, and then that could be a legitimate use of investigations. But I feel like
when he says he's fundamentally misunderstanding, like he's basically just writing off his previous statement. Like, maybe it's not wholly unethical to do that, which is, I find that very interesting about him, like his thought process through this. So, all right, let's go. Let's see him squirm some more.
Like when Congress is doing that, I feel like they're stepping in as the role of like investigator. So if a committee is like doing something where they're doing an investigation and they need to start accessing this, I think that's an appropriate role of Congress.
And again, I'm pushing back partly. Partly this is stuff I believe, partly not. But hang on a second.
Yeah.
So this is Congress. This is Jim Jordan. This is James Comer. They are doing an investigation. They're doing an impeachment inquiry.
Correct.
Just like we did an impeachment inquiry. We got witnesses for what happened with Trump and what happened to the perfect call. That's what they're doing now. So why can't they go and get some information?
Wow.
And talk about it, think about it, and consider it as part of their impeachment inquiry.
Wow. Okay. They're literally doing the same thing, but where's your outrage for no, Trump did a terrible thing, so it's obvious that he got impeached. It was bad. Very bad. How is it not the same anymore, Destiny?
Well, hold on. Okay, so let's be very, very, very clear with what I think is the immoral thing, okay? I don't think that anything that Comer and Jim Jordan have done is bad in regards to their investigation. The bad thing is taking pieces of information and making it public before the investigation is over. I think that's highly unethical. So
that's literally what the January 6th committee did, though. By definition, the January 6th committee, before the report came out, it was all public. Everyone could see what was going on. So you have an issue with that? Is that what you're saying, Destiny? Then why did you look into the January 6th committee? Like, why did you use them as truth if this is something that you think is so highly unethical? Come on now.
If they want to go to the FBI, they want to go to the sources, they want to, They want to, I guess Congress has power to depose or make people present testimony or whatever in front of themselves. Yeah, if they want to do that, I think that's totally fine, even if I think all of that is bullshit. Jim Jordan and all of them are within their right to do it as members of Congress, as members of their whatever committees. But for them to selectively leak it or make parts of the investigation public, that is so outside the norm of almost anything. That just seems insane to me.
So leaking parts of investigations and making them partially public, that's bad. I mean, but Congress had a bunch of public hearings in the course of coming to the report. So as a matter of just doing this sequentially, when Congress was bringing a bunch of hearings in an order, it was by definition incomplete.
They're talking about the January 6th committee that Destiny holds to a really high standard because people were under oath and stuff like that. That when he was talking about how like Trump bad and stuff like that, I'm being super reductive because like I don't really care for the specifics, but like that's basically what was going on. He holds them to a really high standard, but he has a really big problem. This is very unethical for them to be doing this, but I still use that information anyways. Okay, so I think you need to revise your statement again.
And they were bringing testimony that was curated and picked according to the people who they wanted to bring on. I mean,
if you're talking about for the J6 committee, wasn't this after it was? Wasn't this after it was over, or no?
No, this was literally during it, before it.
After what was over?
Wasn't that once they had finished putting it all, or this was during?
Pure cognitive dissonance right here, man. It's just, I love it. It's amazing. Keep going.
They had public hearings and private stuff, and a lot of that was known to the public before they released their report. And so there's some piecemeal stuff going on here, and that's just a matter of course a lot of these congressional investigations, like we hear about them or how they're going while they're happening.
All right, now at this point, everything that Destiny said was immoral or wrong or bad, right, erase that from your memory banks, because he literally cannot cope with this, so he has to revise it again. Everything that I just said there, completely demolished. Pisco, good job. Showing his hypocrisy. And he doesn't want to be a hypocrite. I just love it. I just love it. He keeps revising and revising and revising. And just watching him squirm through all this is just, oh, it's pure goodness, man. That's why he can never convince me about Trump being bad. Like, he just can't. Because, like, he's so inconsistent with all these things because he just doesn't know other arguments. He just doesn't know them. And I think Pisco's doing a good job at, like, showing him like where people like the Tim Pools of the world like get their hypocrisy arguments from, and he's doing a good job. And this is only going to make Destiny stronger. So let's go.
Do you when you give
the piecemeal nature of it that you have a problem with it, or is it active misrepresentations that where there's a risk of the public being?
Ultimately, I'm just gonna like sort of spoil it. It's ultimately comes down to like, well, you know, I think Trump's bad. So when things that come out that show that Trump is bad, I'm not really going to criticize it too much. But when things come out, say Joe Biden is bad, well, it's probably not true. So I'm just going to, it literally just, he doesn't like Trump. So when things come out that it's against Trump, he's going to probably be like, it's probably true. That's basically where this comes down. Because he doesn't have good research or good knowledge into the whole Trump stuff, Trump bad situation, why he's like going through all this stuff. He doesn't have enough information for that. But he has a very high conviction on like Trump is just terrible, obviously. Just terrible.
Misinformed.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. Maybe the issue is less with the selective leaking and more it's with the stuff being informed. Misinformed.
No, you're just biased.
Because I was going to say the difference between the congressional stuff is that at least when people are in front of Congress testifying publicly, those people are always under oath. But you told me that confidential informant form, that guy was under oath as well, right?
I don't know if he was under oath. He agreed to tell the truth.
Or not under oath, but he's like signed it with a penalty of if he's lying, he's going to get in trouble, right?
Yeah, but if he lied anyway to the FBI about something material, he knows that he could be charged criminally. He knows about that. He's been repeatedly like reminded many, many times. And so he understands that there's a penalty to lying to the FBI about a material fact related to the investigation. So any amount of like he's under oath versus he's under the penalty of being charged by the FBI, I would say there's roughly an equivalence here in terms of the potential penalties.
True.
I mean, the CHS Smirnov was absolutely,
which destroys his January 6th committee argument. Like, oh, the January 6th committee, like he holds them to a really high standard because like, oh, they were all under oath and stuff. But like, sure, it's a really high standard, but like There's lots of other things where you're not under oath, which has the same a really high standard as well. Like you could still get charged and stuff. Like it was interesting how he used that as a point for why he used the January 6th committee as like his basis of like research of basically 90% of his research into like Trump bad narrative. So I just find it's very interesting to see him like kind of think this through.
Absolutely aware that if he lied, he could be charged, and he is being charged for lying.
Yeah, that's true. I'm trying to think then of what there's two tracks I'm on now. One is I wonder if having somebody coming in to testify against something that would be so huge would be inappropriate. So I'm trying to think in the J6 stuff, if like a random staffer from the White House were to come in and it was just him reporting that like Trump like raped somebody, would that be appropriate in front of a congressional committee? Or
the Judge Kavanaugh hearings? It was appropriate then, right? Come on now.
If it's not that.
I don't want to bring it up. I don't want to bring it up.
He doesn't want to bring it up.
People will bring up. I'm not going to bring it up, but you know what conservatives might bring up.
Well, wait, why would you not bring it up?
Well, I'll bring it up. It's not necessarily my opinion.
Sure.
But the Brett Kavanaugh hearings.
Mm-hmm.
With the Christine whatever Blazer.
I find it. He just doesn't pay attention to these things. He doesn't pay attention to the hypocritical arguments that people keep talking about. Like Christy Ford, who I don't know this person. Why don't you know this person? Why don't you know this person, Destiny? That's a very interesting question. Why don't you know this? Why is this like foreign to you? Why are you making, oh man. That's why I'm like, yeah, you're never going to convince me that Trump is bad. Never. There's so much information you just don't know or you're not clear on, but you have such a high conviction rate. Like Trump is this terrible thing. Obviously, the other side has no basis on why Trump could ever feel the way that he feels. Zero. I can never sympathize. But you don't know these other things, what they bring up all the time. You're like, who? Christy Blasey? Who's that? I don't know this person. You don't pay attention. Dessa doesn't pay attention to these things. That's why he's never going to convince me. And he's also never going to convince Ben Shapiro. And I guess he's still never going to convince his mom either. So Destiny's like, he does a good job at researching other things that he's not super biased on. He does a really good job with the Israel-Palestine stuff. But he actually did a good faith research into all of it in both sides. He's never going to do a good job with the Trump bad, Trump good arguments because like he already subscribes to the Trump bad stuff. So he's going to dismiss a lot of things that may make Trump look good and then hyper focus on the things that Trump may look bad in. It's just that's why he'll never convince people because he's super biased on it and people can see it easily. So yeah.
Or Ford.
Dr. Ford.
For the so the Senate has a job to confirm a Supreme Court justice, correct? Mm-hmm. Was when she was brought up, was that part of a separate investigation / case, or was that part of the Senate hearings for Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation?
Yeah, it was part of that confirmation hearing. But it was like, so he was pretty much flying through, and then this came up, and then they had like emergency hearings and stuff, and they brought her before the hearing in front of the entire country to give testimony, to which only, there's some corroboration in terms of there's some people after the fact whom she confided in, and there's like some kind of circumstantial evidence, but mostly it relies on her direct testimony.
Wow.
How ordinary is it? I don't know. What is the normal procedure for people coming?
Now he has to cope with the fact that his side does the exact same thing that he's pissed off that Trump people on the right do. So this is very interesting to see Destiny do this. Like I'm gonna say there's a lot of things I could be mean and say, look at him, he's coping so hard, but like I'm not gonna be like that right now because I already told my piece. So let's just continue. Let's see how we rationalize this. Maybe this gets better. I don't know. I vaguely remember watching this, but there's some points that I remember, like the Judge Kavanaugh thing that comes up. But maybe he gets a better take. Let's see.
to testify relating to a Supreme Court confirmation. Does that happen? Like a Supreme Court judge confirmation?
Well, there was a similar situation with Clarence Thomas.
What was, remind me for?
Wow. But you know what? I can't get super, but like, this just proves my point, my earlier point that I stated. But like, at the same, even though I'm pointing this out, I don't know the Clarence Thomas thing. So you know what? I'm gonna like do a little bit of rules for thee, not for me. But you know what? Here, it proves my point. So whatever. But I like being transparent. So like, yeah, I mean, I don't know the Clarence Thomas thing too. Like I vaguely remember hearing something about it, but I don't really know where this is going. So refresh my memory, Pisco.
Refresh my brain.
So, there was an allegation made as to Clarence Thomas from Anita Hill, who was someone who had worked with him in the, I think, Department of Education or something like that as a lawyer. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if she came in front of the committee for live testimony actually now as I'm sitting here, but there's some history of people making certain accusations in Congress. Is that? And I believe Joe Biden was sharing that.
Is that an appropriate forum for that to happen though? Isn't that the forum for that?
Wow. Joe Biden shared this, but but isn't that appropriate though? That's appropriate though, right? Oh man,
to happen isn't that where it's
it
supposed
could be,
to?
but whether it's an appropriate forum or not, like this is an appropriate this investigation.
Go. I'm sorry. It's just so fun. A lot of people that love Destiny is gonna hate me for this, but it's just so fun to point this out. Oh man.
It's about Joe Biden. Like that committee was absolutely allowed to investigate impropriety as relates to Joe Biden because it was that specific purpose and to investigate potential bribes that Joe Biden took as vice president. And this is a allegation pertaining to that thing exactly. And it's given to the FBI, and at least the FBI in their own 1023 said that he was reliable. Again, this is not necessarily my opinion, but I'm just giving you pushback. Which I think
no, sure. So now I wonder if my issue is with the process or procedure of making that public, or if it's just because I think that people aren't doing their due diligence.
I think it's because I think when he says people aren't doing their due diligence, it's like people aren't looking up. It's basically him saying people aren't looking into things that I think is more important than what the other side thinks is more important, which is basically him saying, I'm just a lot more biased than I actually thought I was. That's very super reductive. And maybe I'm sort of twisting a little bit, but that's how it comes out to me. That's what that take sounds like. And I think he's super biased. The reason he says that is because like they didn't come out with the outcome isn't something he likes. So he's going to assume that they didn't do their due diligence. Because like the outcome they looked at, the outcome isn't something he likes. So that's why he thinks that it's probably just not his due diligence, which is why I'm saying it's more of his opinion and why I say he's biased. He's biased for one side. So people on the right would say the opposite to that. So, and literally with the same argument. And I would say that the people on the right are biased too. He shouldn't have an issue with this, but he did. He did have an issue with this. And now he's going over, and I already said my piece about the coping thing, but like saying he's coping all the time gets boring.
Because if in the course of an investigation, let's say that there was like 3 confidential informants came through with pretty incontrovertible proof that Donald Trump or like Joe Biden like murdered some woman on a table. Like, would I expect a committee to make that public like right now before the election? I think I probably would. I would imagine, right? You'd want that to be public pretty soon.
The Hunter Biden laptop. Yeah, just like the laptop thing that they found right before the election. So I think I guess Destiny's in favor of that coming out and not being censored by every major media platform, even though the Washington Post came out with that right before the election and was immediately censored. Destiny is against that. That's basically what he's saying. I want him to answer that, actually.
Or would you before like...
Let me tell you where I am on all this.
Yeah, go for it.
On this 1023, the reason why I treat this very differently is because, number one.
Ooh, interesting. All right, so Dan B says, Destiny, ask Pisco about the Robert Hur report and why he thinks Biden wasn't charged with some of the same things Trump was. The actions were identical. Ooh, Interesting. Very interesting. Why don't you ask that, Pisco?
On the Department of Justice specifically asked to withhold this, presumably for a good reason. That is because they could not speak to its reliability. And after having had that sort of that being told to the committee, they not only spread it around after being asked not to do so, they continually touted it as damning evidence of Joe Biden's guilt. And so one thing is to present the evidence that exists. Another thing is to present evidence that's been specifically cautioned not to please don't let this out, presumably because it relates to current investigations, which it did. There was an ongoing special counsel investigation into issues related to this matter by David Weiss. But then when you're told that we can't speak to the credibility of this, and the allegations themselves pertain to a hearsay statement by the underlying owner of Burisma, in that situation, to take that information, and which absolutely relates to issues of sources and methods and informants and spies and all that stuff, in an ongoing investigation where the information is not credible relating to a secondhand account, and you are taking that information and presenting it as though it were damning smoking gun evidence of Joe Biden's guilt in a bribery scheme, I think is deeply, deeply unethical.
Gotcha. So then maybe my biggest issue then is just the actual substance of everything, the misrepresentation of the strength of the evidence, maybe. Yeah.
But then how do you distinguish the Steele dossier and Democrat conducts, and who are we assessing in terms of culpability? Are we
I'm trying to think, were Democrat lawmakers making any of that public before it got pushed to the media? Because I thought that Steele dossier had been floating around behind the scenes for quite some time, and nobody
It went to BuzzFeed.
Yeah, but I thought it went to I thought it went to BuzzFeed like months after it was floating around with a lot of other people first, because I thought a lot of other mainstream media people had decided not to publish it, and then BuzzFeed got a hold of it and they were like, fuck it, let's publish it, which makes me think that a lot of people had a hold of that before it actually went public on BuzzFeed, and they decided not to say anything about it.
Again, I come back to, who are we assessing wrongdoing? Who are you most interested in criticizing when it comes to the 10
well, right now my criticisms for my main criticisms for the Republicans is they seem to have an issue assessing the strength of evidence for the the level of the claim that they're making. So for instance, that Comer video that he put out showing how Joe Biden profits.
You know, I feel like the right could say the exact same argument to you. Or at least that's what I think conservatives would say, that, like, or at least I'm saying that he's doing the exact same thing. So I would give that argument. I wouldn't call myself a conservative, though.
It's off of Hunter Biden's crimes, and there's like the 6 different companies involved, and then some people are paying back Joe Biden with a loan that they got with money. Like that whole thing is like, this is
blank. Actually, like I said in the beginning, and 10% to the big man, or 20, I forget what it was said specifically, but the big man email, we now know it's fact. Hunter Biden testified that the big man was Joe Biden. 100%. Hunter Biden testified to that. This is an older video, and that new information did recently come out, maybe like last week, I think, or a couple days ago. But yes. Oh, that's so blank. Well, now we know that's actually true. So, this just shows how convinced Destiny is that it's just obviously not true. It could never be it's just not true. That could never happen. Like, he can't even fathom a world that could happen. And that's why people on the right, or people that aren't on the left, I should just say that from now, people that are not on the left, like, they would say the exact same thing. Like, you guys are in just a completely another world. Like, because he couldn't even fathom this. He literally couldn't fathom this. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So you're assessing the average Trumper.
Not unfortunately, not just the average Trumper, but the Trump lawmakers as well, right?
Okay. Well, do you think they care about the underlying factual predicate of what's going on here? Do you think they were duped, or do you think they're the ones doing the duping?
I think the lawmakers are doing the duping, and I think the Trumples are just along for the ride because they're too stupid to know otherwise. The lawmakers I hold to a much higher standard, or even media pundits, than an ordinary Trump voter.
Got it. So you're both criticizing the duping and the underlying failure to discern quality information versus
blank
or unable to, or
Maybe.
I guess
I mean, I don't even know if the underlying issue is happening. Maybe they know it's
blank,
but they're like, fuck it, we've got something, let's run with it. Because I don't think they're stupid.
Do you think Democrats, would you ever levy that with respect to the Steele dossier? Because there's some information that has yet.
Des is gonna get mad because, like, why do you keep bringing up the Steele dossier? I know I'm a hypocrite on that, so why do you think you keep bringing it up?
Like, is not corroborated and is contradicted by evidence, right?
I still don't understand. You keep bringing up the Steele dossier. My 2 points for the Steele dossier is that
You don't understand? It shows how much of a hypocrite that you are.
one, I'm not aware of, and like I said, this might have happened, I don't know, but I'm not aware of any Democratic lawmakers making that public before it got leaked to the media. That's one part.
Wait,
and then
we're talking about the making it public. I'm just talking about the. Right now, I'm focusing on the Democratic.
Yeah, sure, I understand.
You're
that
going
was
after MAGA
yeah,
people.
sure. That was one part, but then the second part was I'm not aware of. I don't think I'm aware of Democrats that were building huge parts of their argument on stuff in the Steele dossier for Trump being compromised by Russia or whatever.
Wait, we literally talked. Pisco literally in the beginning of this said that if the Steele dossier didn't come out, they probably wouldn't have started looking into Trump's, like, the Russia investigation wouldn't have started because they didn't have the Steele dossier. That's what he said in the beginning. Not verbatim, but like that's basically what they said.
I feel like I feel like what I heard the most in the media was the it was the DNC hack and it was the 30,000 emails thing, which were all public.
Also, of course he wouldn't know. Of course he wouldn't know. Like he didn't know the Christy Blasey thing. He didn't know the other thing that came up. So I'm not surprised that he doesn't know this. Anything that goes against his narrative, like obviously. Like, why would he know something that would go against his narrative? At least in the Trump bad specific narrative. Like, not the other narratives that Destiny has. Because, like, he doesn't really push crazy narratives. He's kind of milquetoast, sort of. Not really. I take that statement back. He could be unhinged sometimes, but I don't know.
Saying that Trump was a Russian spy, a Russian plant.
True. True.
God, okay. I feel like the most I heard from the Steele dossier said publicly was like the P tapes thing, and then I feel I heard everybody reference the DNC hacks and everybody referenced the 30,000 emails thing. I feel like those are the things I heard the most.
The DNC hacks had to do with Russia intervening in the election, which I agree with you that everyone was saying Russia interfered because of this. But there's an additional link here. It's not just Russia is bad; it's Russia and Trump are bad, and the link between Trump bad because of Russia had to do with the connective tissue, I think, provided. Not only that tissue, there's other stuff there too, and I would call it out too right now, even currently. But a lot of the main kind of thrust of it was because of bad feels related to the connective tissue provided by the Steele dossier.
True.
Like, not only is Trump pro-Putin, Trump pro-Russia, he says all these Russian talking points. He openly was acknowledging trying to get aid from Russian intelligence service as relates to the DNC service. Not only that, we think there may actually be a more private, more
sinister,
formal conspiracy or formal relationship between Russia intelligence and
the Russia thing. The whole Trump Russia thing is honestly, it's a conspiracy theory. Literally, it's a conspiracy theory. It was a witch hunt for 2 years for Trump, and now Desi's like, man, I don't know why Trump just doesn't like it's crazy for Trump to like distrust the government and the people around it. Like, I just don't understand why he could just do that. He's insane. Like, why would he distrust the government? Like, what? Like, what? I had to point that out. Like, that's just insane to me. He had that argument one time, like, bro, it's just unfathomable for him to like understand, like to be sympathetic, just not even a little bit, like a tiny bit, to why Trump like his argument is like, well, yeah, Trump is just crazy. Like, how is it impossible from just believe that? Like, there's no evidence whatsoever.
Trump related to the stuff in the Steele dossier. I think that was going on among Democrat voters, or do you disagree with that?
Well, hold on. You keep saying voters. I'm thinking of like
Democrats,
the lawmakers and the pundits. Yeah.
Well, but I thought that you were criticizing MAGA voters, MAGA people.
No. Hold on, wait. Let me restate and be very clear. I very, very clearly said that MAGA voters, I think, are just dumb. All voters are probably dumb. My main source of contention were the lawmakers and then like pundits, like people that should know better.
I'm better than you type. That's what I get when he says that. Like, oh, all voters are just dumb. I'm smart. it's this elite mentality he has. Like, I'm better than you. That mentality, that kind of is, I'm not gonna lie, that's probably something, a character trait that I really don't. I'm starting to see more into Destiny the more I listen to him. Like, we're better than this. Like, we don't, like, that's weird. I find it very interesting. It's very passive. Like, he's not outright saying it all the time, but it's very passive for some of the things that he talks about. Like, obviously we're better than the Trumples or whatever nickname he gives people that voted for Trump.
Better, like media heads, yeah.
Okay, so I think Democratic pundits were also doing that same stuff.
There were some doing dumb things for sure. That was it Rachel Maddow said a lot of stupid shit. That's absolutely true. Not Chris Wallace. There's other people. Matthews, maybe. Is he MSNBC as well?
I don't know.
MSNBC has a lot of stupid shit on it. Yeah, I think there were probably a lot of them doing stupid shit as well. Yeah, I'd have to go back and check, but I would equally call these people out too for doing stupid things for sure.
Okay, I think that's something that you should, if you're ever going to have these conversations, you should take a look in the past at like what were the kind of claims being made by both Democratic lawmakers, because it wasn't just pundits, it was also lawmakers and pundits. What were they?
True. Which proves my earlier point. Like, Destiny just doesn't know these things, but he still has he still thinks he's so like convinced that Trump is just bad, obviously, and the Democrats they're obviously better than them, 100%. They don't do the same thing, but he doesn't even know any of the counter arguments or the hypocritical stuff that you see. Like, very interesting. But like, I guess let's go.
Saying on with respect to
maybe he'll change his mind.
Yet then uncorroborated Steele dossier allegations, because remember at that time the Crossfire Hurricane investigation had not ended when the Steele dossier was released. It was still an ongoing investigation, and I believe they even got FISA warrants after the Steele dossier was released to the public. And so, you should take a look if you're ever going to have these discussions and go attack Trumples.
Exactly.
I think you should be well versed.
Yeah, I might go back. Yeah, sure. I can go back and look up some of it. But
you are illiterate to the Trumple stuff. That's why this is why I tell people don't take Destiny seriously when he talks about Trump. He just hates the man. He literally just hates. You can dismiss him by saying Destiny doesn't like Trump, and that's why he thinks the way that he thinks. Because that's basically what he does. He looks into the January 6th committee, and then he makes before he even. He looks into the January 6th committee and then talks about how like, this is legit. They're all under oath. Like, this is look at this information. It's great. He takes the January 6th committee so seriously and so like good faith. And then he makes an entire argument that the January 6th committee did, basically saying this is wholly unethical. The January 6th committee does it. Well, actually, maybe that's not my issue. It's not unethical, actually, even though, damn, like, it completely changes his mind on that. Because he doesn't want to discredit the January 6th committee that he got outraged for and then immediately backtracked. Like, I find it very interesting. Very interesting.
Like, there's two parts here. Is it one, like, because especially some stuff related to Russia collusion, there were definitely pundits that overplayed their hand on that. Like, I wouldn't deny that. But, like, I can very easily condemn my side on that, number one. But number two.
Yeah, but no one cares if you can condemn. Like, that's great. You can condemn them. But, like, it's the cognitive dissonance you have about Trump bad and then you not knowing the information that literally shows that your side is doing the exact same thing, but you're way more outraged and you generalize all the time that the other side is just so much worse than you. Like, it's kind of annoying. Like, it's really annoying. I don't know of a better word than just to use that word right now. So let's just continue, I guess.
The strengths of the claims, the veracity of the claims, and factually, like, what ends up being true is also significantly different. On both sides. For as much as the Democratic pundits might have overplayed their hand or might have like focused too much on some things, they are way more in the realm of being correct than the Trumples, who are literally in fantasy land.
And the Trumples would say the complete opposite, but it's just your opinion. Good day to you, sir. I already wrote you off on that.
In terms of like their claims, where there is absolutely no attachment to the ground in terms of reality.
Sure.
Okay, so what's the stuff that's not based in reality? It's the allegations.
Yeah. What are you talking about? You're being very general right now and not actually going into the specifics. There's a reason for this.
bribery and the Burisma.
It's I mean, like it's QAnon, it's Pizzagate, it's the Seth
Really?
Richards, like the Hillary Clinton kill list.
Yes, and I guess we can find really unhinged versions of what's people like, really unhinged version that a small minority on the left would think too, and call that out as well. So good job, Destiny, for calling out the small minority on the right as well. Good job.
It's the deep state corroboration with Hillary Clinton to exonerate her of like all of her crimes in the email stuff, and with Burisma, or not Burisma, with the Hillary stuff and Benghazi. It's the Joe Biden, Hunter Biden crime family, like 100% guaranteed link because of the big man email. Like all of these.
I mean, that's actually legit. Hunter Biden literally came out and said that, yeah, obviously that was Joe Biden. The big man email is Joe Biden. Like, he testified to that, and he actually legit said that. Unless you think Hunter Biden is lying now. Like, wait, what? Oh, that's just so out of the realm of, like, it just doesn't happen. Perfect. Oh, man, it's great. I gotta find that, like, testament and, like, post it in editing or whatever. Oh, man. Just got him. Oh, it just can't happen, obviously. Like, it's just so out of the realm of reality. The big man email, it's conspiracy theory. Comes out as it, and then Hunter Biden literally says, it's true, actually. And now, where's your cope now, Dusty? What are you going to say about that? Well, actually, this is in the past. He doesn't even know this information. And it did come out, and I think he still doesn't even know this information. I bet, 100%.
Things are way more in fantasy land than saying Donald Trump.
Actually, it's reality now, like I just said. But hey, let's just continue.
Colluded with Russia.
Is a Russian
is a Russian asset or spy, which is an extreme claim, and to my understanding so far is incorrect. And I don't think there's strong evidence to prove any of that. But with a guy that not only had...
I like how he overplays what the fringe minority in the right says. A political minority to a giant majority, like... He's comparing to unhingedness, but the percentage of people on one side believes way more than another percentage of the other side. So, like, okay, good job. Comparing apples to oranges. Nice.
Not Malkovich. The guy that was working with Manafort, that had Manafort on his election campaign, running his election campaign, who was indicted. Who was working with pro-Russian assets, not reporting his stuff to the State Department, ends up getting pardoned by Trump. When you've got people like Roger Stone, who are more or less coordinating with the Guccifer hacker who did hack the DNC to release stuff, and when you do have people that were like Pages.
Yes. We know. You know all the information of Trump bat. Yes. But Christy Blasey Ford, I don't know about that. The other dude that he talked about in the beginning, I don't know about that. But yes, I understand. He knows everything about the Trump bad narrative. That's good. Go on, please.
Well, lied to the it was Page, right? No, it was Flynn. It was Flynn. Who lied to the FBI about kind of like that stuff is way more in the realm of like a lot of it being true and in the possibility. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want an easy question.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Do you think it's a more plausible allegation or a less unhinged allegation to say Joe Biden took a bribe from Burisma in exchange for certain official actions, versus
which is what the majority of people on the right believe? This is a better comparison than what Destiny was making a small minority of people on their side, instead of comparing two majorities, like majority of the left, majority of the right. The majority of the right believes that, and now we're going to compare it to what the majority of the left believes. That's a better comparison.
Versus Trump is a Russian asset. Between those two, which is more or less unhinged or equal level, kind of?
How do you squirm out of this one, Destiny? Now, obviously, he's going to cope with this.
Level.
The sigh. Let's go back. Because I cut into this a lot. Let's go back. Let's listen to this in the full context.
In exchange for certain
of like a lot of it being true and in the possibility. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want an easy question.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Do you think it's a more plausible allegation or a less unhinged allegation to say Joe Biden took a bribe from Burisma in exchange for certain official actions, versus Trump is a Russian asset. Between those two, which is more or less unhinged or equal level, kind of level?
This is an easy question, but like, just watch him cope.
Oof. Okay. Here's what makes that difficult to evaluate.
He's basically to say, I'm biased, and I think Trump bad. So, like, it's so hard for him to say that his side is like unhinged on this and just leave it as that. Like it's not hard to understand this. It's not hard. It's not hard. Like, come on, man. Oh, this is so hard to evaluate. No, because you're like partisan. You're biased. You can't fathom the other side being better than you, I guess. That's probably what his big issue is. And with that, we're gonna leave it there. If you guys want me to watch more or the rest of this, let me know down in the comments below, because I don't feel like editing 2 hours worth of content. We're already an hour 37 minutes in, so but yeah, thanks for watching. But let me know if you want me to watch more, continue this, because I will, and I probably will, but like, let me know down in the comments below if you want me to watch more. So yeah.